Hello, this is Ed Rigsby, and today I'm happy to talk to you about association management companies. Now, this is what it sounds like. It is a company that manages more than one association. So if you've done prospecting and you've noticed that more than one association have the same address and you've wondered why that is, it's probably because they're managed by an association management company. So let's get going. You know, when we look at association executives, they are either an employee of an association or they are an employee of an association management company. Now, as an example, many people watching this will be members of the National Speakers Association. The National Speakers Association, they're employees of the corporation, of the association. All associations are corporation in their state. Once they are incorporated in their state, then they get the federal government nonprofit status. So with the example of the National Speakers Association, all the people, all the staff, they work for the association. Other groups, they hire out that service through an association management company, and the employees are employees of the association management company. These association management companies might manage quite a number of associations, and each executive, usually called an account executive, might be managing anywhere from one to several associations. So this is a different look at who you want to get a hold of, how you want to get a hold of them. And one of the great benefits of plugging into association management companies is you're really plugging into a number of associations with every attempt. So I'm going to go a little bit further on this and give you some more. So let's just understand, with associations, the top paid executive is usually referred to as the chief staff executive. Now, their titles might be CEO, their titles might be executive director, or EVP, executive vice president, or administrator, or president. That covers the majority of the titles that the chief staff executive and the top paid person would have. But with association management companies, there's another element that you want to be thinking about. These executive directors are really also account executives. So the association management company they work for, there are anywhere from one to several, maybe even scores of account executives. Now, the account executive works for the association management company under contract with the association, and they basically run and operate as the executive director. And the staff would be staff employed by the association management company. Now, the interesting thing is the account executive, as I said earlier, might be managing several associations. So when you plug into one account executive, you might be plugging into somebody at several associations. So let's take an example of a small-ish, not large, but a small-ish association management company. This is called 712 Management. Now, they used to be called Thompson Association Management, and the company was started by somebody that I know, Joe Thompson. And when he started the company, he mostly managed distribution associations. Now, Joe has since retired. His daughter's taken over the business, and she's changed the name. And they have actually spread out, and they deal with a lot more associations than just distribution. Here's an example of some of the associations they manage. They manage 14 associations. And for those of you that are members of the National Speakers Association, they also manage the NSA Foundation. Don't know if you know this, last year, the board of directors for the foundation was told by the NSA staff that it's just not going to work for the NSA staff to manage that foundation. It's a separate 501c3 nonprofit. So now this association management company is now managing the foundation. Now we still have the the boards of directors that run it, and the foundation is still effectively owned by NSA, but it's being managed by an association management company. So if you plug in to this association management company, you're really plugging into 14 associations. Now, let's go a little bit bigger. So we have association headquarters. They're out of the 712 that I mentioned earlier, they're out of Maryland. Association headquarters is out of New Jersey. And they run a few more. They run 45 associations. So they're a good, strong, mid-sized association management company. And as you can imagine, if they're running 45 associations, they have, probably at least 10 account executives or somewhere in that number that are the executive directors of multiple associations. You can go to their website. I could only fit so many on the screen here, but all 45 of the associations are on this page where it says, about our clients. And you can look and see, and okay, if some of these associations are ones that you think that you have an interest in, that you would like to do work with, well, then this is an association management company you want to plug into. Going larger. SmithBuckland is a very large and a very established association management company in the United States. They manage about 300 associations. Now, if you look at their homepage of their website, you see they manage business and trade associations. They also manage healthcare and scientific. Now, business and trade are usually going to be called associations. Healthcare and scientific are usually going to be called societies. And then they measure or manage technology organizations, which can be user groups or various societies or associations. Now, of the 300 that they manage, the interesting thing, pre-pandemic, SmithBuckland would usually would regularly do showcases where they allow a speaker like you or I to schedule a time. We would buy lunch for a number of their account executives that the associations that they manage would pertain to the topic that we bring in. And we buy lunch and they'd sit around in their not their break room, but in their conference room. And you or I would give a 15-20 minute presentation on our topic. And so we get to, just for the cost of buying them all lunch, we would get to showcase. And it gives us a chance to know these account executives. And it gives us a chance to, press the flesh, shake hands, and connect back. So as an example, if you're trying to sell to the association market and you're in the greater Chicago area, even a couple-hour drive from the Chicago area, you would be silly not to contact SmithBuckland, find out, as we're pulling out of the pandemic, find out when they're going to start their showcases again and try to get on the schedule. Doesn't cost that much to buy Subway sandwiches for 20 association execs, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper than some of the marketing and mailing pieces and advertising and things that you do to get in front of these people. So it's a good thing. And let's go a step up. Kellen, they don't manage more associations than SmithBuckland manages, but they're global. Kellen is out of Atlanta, Georgia. And Kellen made the decision years ago that they wanted to have a global presence. And so what they did is they opened up offices all around the world. So they've got 3 offices on the East Coast of the United States. They've got one in the Southwest. They have an office in Europe. They have an office in the Middle East. They have an office in the subcontinent. They have an office in Asia. They have an office in Southeast Asia. And so their count, as of just recently, I was looking at their website, they're at 125 associations, societies, and nonprofits that they manage. But here's the interesting thing. They've got offices all around the world. But if you get plugged into any American office, you can use that to leverage, ask them to help you connect with the others. Now, some speakers just want to stay locally. Some speakers just want to speak in their state. Totally fine. If that works for you, if you want to be a geographic focused speaker rather than a content focused speaker or topic focused speaker, totally okay. But if you're a topic focused speaker, it opens up the whole world to you, you know, and this would be the way that if I were you, I would go after, you know, trying to build my international cred. Now, as you might guess, all of these association management companies have their own association. It used to be called the Association of Association Management Companies, which was kind of a mouthful. And about 5 years or so ago, they changed it to AMC Institute. And in the on the upper area, you see in that bright blue box, I put their website in there for you. The AMC Association Management Company Institute, or AMC Institute, if you look at the in their navigation, the about, you see how the pull down menu, and I put a red circle around it, find an AMC. So if you were to click on that, you'll go into their search area and you can find AMCs. Now, also, let me just tell you that the AMC Institute does accreditations. And if you want to work with AMCs, probably you're going to want to work with ones that are accredited. The smaller, and I don't want to use the word too big because that's being disparaging, but the smaller that work with just some of the smaller local association management groups, you know, like if you're a member of an NSA chapter, there's a few people out there that manage several NSA chapters. So they're an association management company, but they're not managing the kind of associations that are hiring speakers. So that's where if you get into the little bit larger association management companies that are accredited, and in the search mechanism, it's kind of hidden, but you can see you can search for under accredited association management companies. You can search for the state, like I said earlier, if you want to just stay focused on the state level, you can search for association management companies in the state. Some association management companies specialize in associations in their state. Some specialize in an industry. Some specialize just across the country. If you're in Canada, if you look in the the green box on the top left, the second line says AMCI Canada. So you can plug in for association management companies in Canada. And this makes your job very easy. Now, I want to give you some action items. I understand. And I understand even in my 30-day selling to associations intensives, one of the days I have in there, call 10 associations. And I've been called out by people that said, you know, Ed, calling 10 associations a day is too much. And I go, what do you mean it's too much? It's easy. Just pick up the phone. Well, okay. I understand that, that maybe it isn't as easy for you as it is for me. But what I will say that you got to get yourself in the mindset of you want to be a resource. You want to make relationship bank deposits. You want to make helpful calls to help them. So let's start out. Number one, I would encourage you to find the names of the account executives. So if you go to any of the association management companies' websites, they usually have in their navigation, it's either under About Us or Our Team. And they'll list who the account executives are. And generally there's emails or phone numbers and/or. They'll generally list the people that are another position. So you want to find the account executives. You want to find the communications director. Why the communication director? Because if you've listened through any of my presentations, you know that I advocate go into the back door, make a relationship bank deposit with the editors, the communication directors. With association management companies, one communication director might be running the magazines or e-zines for several associations. Your content, if they like you and like what you have, might be spread through several associations just from that one contact. So you want to find out who are the communication directors, either singular or plural, in that association management company. Also, you want to find out who are the meeting planners. Now, their titles might be Director of Meetings, Conferences, and Events. I also want to stop here and just kind of halt here and remind you. Too frequently, people get tunnel vision like this, and they're only thinking about an association or a society's annual meeting. But generally, they have more meetings than just their annual meeting. Sometimes they have their mid-year meeting. Sometimes they have their leadership meeting. Sometimes they have their marketing meeting. And for all these, there's a good chance they hire speakers. Also, a lot of them for their board meeting, they hire speakers. And especially speakers that do strategic planning, facilitation, things like that, they're hiring those speakers. So that's why you want to become a resource. You want to make sure that you know who the account executives are and let them know about your content. You want to make, as far as especially your articles that you make available, you want to talk to the communications directors. I mean, and if you use my method, go in the back door, talk to the communication director, give them your articles, make a relationship bank deposit, and then play the, oh, by the way, before I let you go, could you tell me who the decision maker is for selecting speakers for your various meetings and what kind of meetings? You know, I was looking at your website and I saw you have an annual meeting. I saw you have a leadership meeting. Just wondering if you had any other meetings where you might select speakers. And could you tell me who are the decision makers for selecting speakers for those various meetings? The thing is, a lot of times you and I as a speaker, we get, you know, tunnel vision on, oh, let's contact the meeting planner. A lot of times the meeting planner is not the decision maker. A lot of times the meeting planner is the decision maker on what color of napkins, but not the decision maker on what kind of speaker. So you need to find out, are the meeting planners the logistics people or are they decision makers? Now, in large associations, for any of you that have watched any of my conversations, okay, I've put out there, I've done a number of conversations with association executives that hire speakers. And, you know, if you're in my association and society speaker community, all of those conversations are available to you at no charge. But in interviewing these people, as an example, I was talking to the HVAC association, and the VP and the director, they are the decision makers on who hires the speakers. It's not the CEO of the association. So depending on the size, if it's a small association, good chance it's going to be the association CEO. If it's a pretty large national association, good chance it's going to be either the VP or the director of meetings, conferences, and events. So these are things that you've got to know as you're trying to plug in. Every time you connect with an association management company, you have the capability of connecting with anywhere from a handful to scores of associations in one connection. Now, I talked to you earlier about if they offer, SmithBuckland for years offered showcase opportunities. Some other ones did too. I know Speak Inc., which was the Speakers Bureau, they would offer them. So, you know, when you're talking to the association management company, you know, the various people, ask, find out, hey, does your association management company have an opportunity for speakers to come in and showcase? And if so, how does that work? And I think that will be a huge help for you. So, you know, a couple of things I'll leave you with. If you're in my association and society speaker community, you have access to the 30-day challenge at no additional charge. Take that 30-day challenge. Do it, do it, do it. Because that's going to push you to be comfortable with making the calls and understanding how to position yourself to be ready for talking to these association management companies. If you're in that community, watch my workshop. It's 5 or 6 videos. Watch Aiden's workshop. So, you know, I would just encourage you, if you're in this community, take advantage of what we have. Also, don't forget, at the at the speakercommunity.org, I just had a brain freeze, at the speakercommunity.org, in the upper navigation, look on speaker opportunities, because I'm putting in there frequently, I'm updating and putting requests for proposals, call for proposals for speaking opportunities. So that's part of what you get in the community. So don't forget to check that out. Well, I hope that you found that this presentation on association management companies has given you a little more insight than you've had in the full Selling to Associations course. I've talked about this a little bit, but not as in depth as I've talked about it here. So best to you. Go out and let's see if we can get you some business.